The world held its breath. It was the summer of 1943, and the very fate of the free world hung precariously in the balance. The Allies, clawing their way back from the brink of defeat in World War II, were poised to strike a decisive blow against the Axis powers. The target was Sicily, a strategic stepping stone into the heart of Fortress Europe. But a direct assault would be a bloodbath. The Germans knew they were coming. What the Allies needed was a miracle, a ghost, a lie so audacious, so exquisitely crafted, that it would not only deceive the enemy, but would lead them by the nose to their own undoing. What they conceived was a plan so bizarre, so macabre, it would forever blur the line between the grim realities of war and the darkest corners of fiction. This is the astonishing true story of Operation Mincemeat, the day a dead man won a war. The architect of this grand deception was a brilliant and some might say eccentric British intelligence officer named Ewan Montagu. A man of sharp intellect and a flair for the dramatic, Montagu was a key figure in the clandestine world of wartime espionage. The challenge facing him and his team at the secretive Room 13 of the Admiralty was monumental. How to convince the German High Command that the impending Allied invasion, the largest amphibious operation in history, was aimed not at Sicily, but at Greece and Sardinia. They needed more than just whispers from double agents. They needed something tangible, something the Germans could touch, analyze, and ultimately believe without a shadow of a doubt. The seed of the idea, a notion so outlandish it was initially dismissed as a joke, came from a memo penned by none other than Ian Fleming, the future creator of James Bond. The concept was as simple as it was ghoulish. Find a dead body, dress it as a British officer, plant fabricated secret documents on it, and set it adrift to wash ashore in neutral but pro-Axis Spain. The hope, a long and desperate one, was that the Spanish authorities would discreetly pass the intelligence to their German counterparts. The first and perhaps most ghoulish task was to procure a suitable corpse. This was no simple matter. The body had to be that of a man of military age, and the cause of death needed to be consistent with someone who had perished at sea. After a discreet search, a tragic and anonymous figure was found in a London morgue. Glyndor Michael, a homeless man who had died from ingesting rat poison. The poison had the grimly convenient effect of causing fluid to build up in the lungs, a condition that would be indistinguishable from drowning. With the quiet and perhaps unknowing consent of his bereaved parents, Glyndor Michael was about to be posthumously enlisted into the service of his country, to play the leading role in a drama of global significance. With their leading man secured, Montagu's team set about creating his persona. He was christened Captain Acting Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. The name was deliberately chosen for its commonality, a needle in a haystack for any German attempt at verification. But a name was not enough. Major Martin needed a life, a history, a soul. And so the forgers and storytellers of British intelligence went to work. They crafted a fiancée for him named Pam, complete with a photograph and a packet of tender, ink-stained love letters. They gave him a wallet containing ticket stubs from a London theater, a stern but loving letter from his father, and even a bill for an engagement ring. Every minute detail was meticulously curated to breathe life into the man who never was. The centerpiece of the deception, however, was the contents of the official-looking briefcase that would be chained to Major Martin's wrist. Inside lay a collection of forged documents, the crown jewels of the entire operation. Chief among them was a personal letter from Lieutenant General Sir Archibald Nye, the Vice Chief of the Imperial General Staff, to General Sir Harold Alexander, the Allied commander in North Africa.
The letter, a masterpiece of subtle misdirection, spoke of an impending Allied invasion of Greece and Sardinia. Sicily, it hinted, was merely a diversionary tactic, a feint designed to draw German forces away from the true prize. The documents were aged, creased, and stamped with the highest levels of classification, every detail designed to scream authenticity. The stage was set. In the pre-dawn hours of April 30th, 1943, the British submarine HMS Seraph surfaced silently off the coast of Huelva, a small fishing town in southern Spain.
Hours later, as the sun climbed into the Spanish sky, a local fisherman made a grim discovery. The body of a British officer, briefcase still chained to his wrist, had washed ashore. The Spanish authorities were notified, and just as Montague had gambled, the news quickly found its way to the local Abwehr agent, the eyes and ears of German intelligence in the region. The Germans were instantly intrigued. With the discreet cooperation of sympathetic elements within the Spanish military, the briefcase was opened, its contents carefully photographed, and the film rushed to Berlin. The body of Major Martin was then returned to the British, who, maintaining the elaborate charade, buried him with full military honors in the Huelva cemetery. The bait had been taken. In Berlin, the documents were scrutinized by the highest echelons of the German High Command. The meticulous detail, the sheer plausibility of the fabricated life of Major Martin convinced them. Even Adolf Hitler himself was reportedly taken in by the deception. The order was given: reinforce Greece and Sardinia. Panzer divisions were diverted, torpedo boats were redeployed, and vital defensive resources were stripped from Sicily. The German war machine, a formidable and ruthless force, had been sent on a wild goose chase. On July 9, 1943, the Allies launched Operation Husky. The invasion of Sicily began. The German and Italian defenders, their forces weakened and their attention focused elsewhere, were caught completely off guard. The Allied landings were a spectacular success. The island fell in just over a month, a crucial victory that opened the door to the invasion of Italy and sounded the death knell for Mussolini's fascist regime. The man who never was had delivered a victory of immeasurable strategic importance. The true story of Operation Mincemeat remained a closely guarded secret for years after the war. It was only when Ewen Montague published his memoir, The Man Who Never Was, that the world learned of the audacious deception. The book became a bestseller and was adapted into a successful film, cementing the legend of the dead man who outwitted the entire German High Command. For decades, however, the true identity of the man who had played the role of Major Martin remained shrouded in mystery. It was not until 1996 that a determined amateur historian named Roger Morgan, after years of tireless research, unearthed the declassified document that finally revealed the name of Glyndwr Michael. The homeless man from a small Welsh town had at last been given his due credit as an unlikely and unknowing hero of the war. Today, in the quiet corner of a cemetery in Huelva, Spain, lies the grave of William Martin. The tombstone bears a poignant inscription: William Martin, born 29th March 1907, died 24th April 1943. Beloved son of John Glyndwr Martin and the late Antonia Martin of Cardiff, Wales. Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. It is a fitting, if somewhat ironic epitaph for a man who, in death, gave so much for a country that had offered him so little in life. The story of Operation Mincemeat is more than just a thrilling chapter in the annals of espionage. It is a powerful testament to the ingenuity and audacity of the human mind, a reminder that in the crucible of war, victory can be forged not only on the battlefield, but also in the shadowy world of deception and intrigue. It is a story of meticulous planning, of brilliant execution, and of a deep and abiding understanding of the human psyche.
Montague and his team did not just create a lie, they created a reality, a world so convincing that their enemies were powerless to resist its pull. The legacy of Operation Mincemeat extends far beyond the shores of Sicily. It has become a case study in the art of deception, studied by military strategists and intelligence agencies around the globe. It is a timeless example of how a well-crafted narrative, a story that preys on the biases and assumptions of its audience, can be a weapon more powerful than any bomb or bullet. In the grand and often brutal tapestry of the Second World War, the story of the man who never was stands out as a singular thread of creativity, of guile, and of a strange and somber kind of heroism. It is a story that reminds us that history is not merely a collection of dates and battles, but a mosaic of human stories, of ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances. The tale of Glyndwr Michael, the silent hero of Operation Mincemeat, is a poignant and powerful reminder that even the most forgotten and marginalized among us can, in the most unexpected of ways, change the course of the world. He was the man who never was, but his impact, his victory, was devastatingly and gloriously real.